waitress who's normally here, Daryl Len, I believe her name is. I think we walked by her when she was on the patio fucking that restaurant right by beer and whatever they want. Or look super similar.
Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 3,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 100 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
Beercade YEG for WWE Extreme Rules. And now your hosts, Spencer Love and the Pure Power Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, Chris Parrish.
Try and guess who's who.
Yeah, I think you're the champion.
They can't really tell right now because I'm removing some match screens here.
Well, this is what we brought you on for, Mike.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy.
I know I'm slipping in my old age.
That's okay.
Selfish.
Tell us when everyone can see our pretty little faces rather than...
There we go.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beercade YEG for Over the Top Rope Live, your official pre-show from Beercade YEG on the Win Column Sports Network. I, your host, Spencer Love, Chris Parrish, as mentioned, PPW heavyweight champion, joining me for today's show. It's going to be a hell of a show. I'm very, very excited. People, any B pay-per-view, a lot of people seem to be complaining lately, are not putting up the match cards that they should. I would disagree on this. I think it's quietly got one of the better match cards of the WWE pay-per-view calendar year, to put a lot of words in my mouth.
Yeah, it's kind of something I hate about the new era of the wrestling with the internet now, is everybody doesn't have any patience now to enjoy things out. I think Extreme Rules is actually going to kick the asses of a lot of fans tonight, so I'm
100%
actually
agree.
looking forward to it.
And people talk about the PG era Extreme Rules pay-per-views like there haven't been some great Extreme Rules matches in history, right?
I remember watching SummerSlam back from last year with AJ and Samoa Joe, and I didn't realize how good it was at the time because I was probably drinking a lot. But man, that was a great match. Bell to bell, that was a solid match, and you kind of have to go back, and thank God for the network, because you can go back and watch a good match like that, but they have some great stuff going on, so not everything's bad. Plus, it's not like everything in the Attitude Era was peaches and cream either.
Man, and that's a whole different discussion for a whole different day. Before we get started here on, of course, the official pay-per-view of Beercade YEG's home of Edmonton wrestling shows, we got to give a shout out to a couple of our sponsors. Of course, White Ridge Incorporated, who provides these lovely hats that you can get for the Win Column Sports Network, the official merchandise of the WCSN. Cowan Graphics, they make all sorts of banners and what have you for us. Hopefully they'll be making stuff one day when people decide to sponsor us more.
Yeah. And I would gladly have worn a hat today if I wasn't having such a great hair day.
That's 2 in a row for you. And of
I
course,
know.
we have to give our shout out to Beercade YEG, the home, as mentioned, of Edmonton Independent Wrestling and the home of the WCSN network of podcasts, where you can find all your previews, reviews, breaking news, and now interviews. Great stuff coming from, us.
We emphasize the word great, by the way.
But we're not here to talk about, of course, the great independent wrestling here in the province of Alberta. We are here to talk about WWE Extreme Rules. Let's get started. First match on the card. Mike, what are we looking at?
Well, let's get to our first match for the Cruiserweight Championship with Drew Gulak defending against Tony Nese. Now, for anybody that watched Evolve last night, saw that Drew Gulak was in one hell of a match with Matthew Riddle. First of all, will that match affect what he's going to be able to do in this match? And also, who do you think is going to come out on top?
I don't think so. I don't see any sort of continuity. It's sort of a spot show as far as Evolve goes, and I always hate the phrase, but it's the best way to describe what happened last night. If you haven't had the chance, head to the network and watch it. It's a hell of a show, even outside of Gulak and Riddle. But a terrific match. Really, for me, a statement on Drew Gulak's end, because he's been terrific since the Cruiserweight division was introduced to WWE. I've really enjoyed what he's done, whether it was sort of the political run he had for a better Cruiserweight division. I think he's been terrific. His PowerPoint presentations were always a highlight of the early days of 205 Live. So I want to see him get a run with the championship. I think we mentioned it last time, but Tony Nese, as great as he is, and as much as I know we both enjoy him, he's had his time in the sun. And I really like the way that the Cruiserweight division has always taken the opportunity to be highlighting someone new, rather than relying on sort of the established names that we know they could by this point.
Well, you provide the catch, now I'm going to provide the point. Drew Gulak, yeah, thank you. Drew Gulak might have actually been one of the best additions to 205 Live since the inception of the 205. And it was no surprise to me that he actually won the Cruiserweight title against Tony Nese. And I don't see him having any issues tonight retaining that title. I'm going to say Drew Gulak, and I'm going to say Drew Gulak by submission.
I was going to say he's proven himself to be a submission specialist over the last little bit. Obviously, having that match with Kushida that was absolutely awesome on NXT 3 or 4 weeks ago. Right, I think it was even Kushida's second match on NXT, if I remember correctly. But that's besides the point. I think that they've really set him up for big things, even though he has lost a few more matches than a lot of your traditional Cruiserweight champions have over the last little bit. I think they've done an excellent job of building Drew Gulak. I want to see him retain, and I think he will.
Well, he has one of those in-ring styles where a loss doesn't actually affect his direction. He has that ability to bring you back into the matchup and believe in him once he steps in the ring, and that is a rare quality in a lot of guys, and that's what makes him, I think, going to be one of the better cruiserweight champions moving forward.
100%. Our friend Rob Whitney of the All Out Sports Network heading to the show today. Rob, keep us up to date. It looks like it's going to be a great show. You always provide great content for them. Let us know how you enjoy Extreme Rules 2019. If you are not like Rob and heading to Extreme Rules 2019, join us at Beercade YEG. $4 drinks, $4 menu items, tons of members of the independent wrestling community here in Edmonton. But I've said it a ton. Let's get to WWE.
Well, before we get there, I want to give a special shout out to the guys already in the chat room watching. Ben Oman, Dylan Featherstone, Andre Como.
Oh, I hate Dylan Featherstone. He still owes me like 4 beers.
Yeah, and Ben doesn't get you tickets.
Leo freaking London's watching us.
Hey, I like him. Look at my, gentleman's club shirt. Hell of a guy out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, wrestling Mike Quackenbush the next little bit. Leo, thanks for joining us. Always appreciate it. We're now entirely across Western Canada.
Well, let's move on here to the next match. And this match just got announced a couple hours ago, so let's get to those two because I don't even have graphics for them, so we'll just talk about them. On the pre-show, the Intercontinental Championship, Shinsuke Nakamura taking on the champion, Finn Balor.
You take this one.
Well, I believe after this, the last encounter they had where Shinsuke Nakamura just had a dominant victory over Finn Balor, I think that was just to bring out the fact that Shinsuke Nakamura is an elite talent in the WWE. There is a pun there. I hope everyone got it. But
oh, elite, like those wrestler guys.
So, but I think he's going to have a great showing again tonight. But I don't believe he's going to take home the Intercontinental title simply because I think, and I'll get onto it later, we're going to see something a little bit bigger happen tonight.
I don't disagree at all. I think that Nakamura and Balor may have been one of my favorite TV matches so far this year. It did a great job. The thing I've really liked about WWE, and I don't know, obviously, if it's because of Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff, how much they're actually involved as of this point, but they have made a couple of quick changes as far as things goes, whether it be Kevin Owens quickly turning face in the last couple of weeks, whether it be your Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman truly getting established as monsters since,
what about
I guess
Cedric Alexander getting the run into the main event on Raw last night?
100%.
I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Exactly, and I think that Nakamura in the last week was another terrific example of someone who really made another statement. Now, I don't think it's going to set him up for a victory tonight. Like you said, I think last week was more of give him the win, beat the champ to wrestle the champ for the championship. It's a trope as old as time itself, but it worked. It's a match that I'm very excited for on pay-per-view because they're two guys who always step it up when the stakes are higher. I think Balor pulls it out, though.
I just hope this match gets an appropriate amount of time so the fans get to enjoy the true talents of both competitors because they are phenomenal in-ring competitors, and I think we'd all would just appreciate this product that much more if you let those guys just captivate us like we know they can.
100%. Mike, other pre-show match.
Speaking of Kevin Owens, we got the show-off Dolph Ziggler taking on the worst in the world, Kevin Owens.
I saw a tweet. I know Sean Ross Sapp retweeted it. I don't know who the original creditor is.
Kevin Owens.
No, but...
No, he actually did a promo yesterday in the WWE parking lot.
Yep.
Mentioning that if Shane was going to be known as the best in the world, he wanted to be known as the exact opposite.
Well, I'm well aware of the promo. I didn't remember that portion. It's okay, Mr. Announcer Man.
It's actually on his Twitter now as the worst in the world.
But I think that, to go back to the tweet I was referencing earlier, sorry, as I regained my train of thought, I think that Kevin Owens, again, to credit to Sean Ross after retweeting it, whoever was the original, great idea, KO should win in 10 seconds with a stunner. It'd be absolutely fantastic. I think KO, if they really want to establish him, number one, as sort of the next Stone Cold, as they seem to be trying to do, and I know that's a statement that gets thrown around a whole lot, but if that's what they're really trying to build him into over the next little bit, that's the way you do it.
I hope WrestleMania 14 is deja vu. I hope it's the super kick catch, wham bam stunner. I mean, I think you got the Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin comparisons right here and now because, yeah, you want to say Kevin Owens could be the modern day Stone Cold. But, I mean, watch everything Dolph Ziggler does and tell me he's not the modern-day Shawn Michaels, and I'll call you a stupid idiot.
I would agree with that. I think that Ziggler is going to go down like I was having the conversation the other day with a friend of mine. Like, Ziggler's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my eyes. The guy's accomplished basically everything there is to do. I believe he's a Grand Slam champ. He's won the tag team championship before, correct?
Yeah, with Drew McIntyre.
There we are. So he's a Grand Slam champion. The guy is an absolute stud as far as in-ring work goes. And even on his latest run where he's sort of played up this, I guess, whiny, woe is me, should have been me sort of thing, I really like the way he's delivered it, whether it be against Kofi Kingston and the way he's transitioned into his feud with Kevin Owens. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it, but I think that Ziggler's moved on, and I mean this in the most complimentary way possible, to being a part-time superstar, and he's a guy who does sort of work more when he wants to, and that's the best role for him at this time. So I hope they use this as a way to really elevate Kevin Owens, like Dolph Ziggler going to his comedy shows, because I can speak from experience. They're way, way better than I would have even expected.
Again, I'm going to say one last thing. This is actually a great pairing of guys to put together to produce a good result, because these guys, I think, have a lot to prove, not just to themselves, to the fans, but to the company as well, that they should be higher up on this card.
I wouldn't disagree.
And I do believe that if they give them the proper time, these guys, I mean, yeah, it's maybe oversaid with Dolph Ziggler, but they're going to steal the show.
Well, let's move on from there and talking about two guys that should ultimately steal the show here, and two guys that need more time invested into them. We have Aleister Black taking on Cesaro.
Oh, this isn't even a dark horse for match of the night. This is likely going to be the match of the night.
It is not my dark horse, but it's definitely close.
It's going to be absolutely terrific. The way that they've built up Aleister Black is the definition or the perfect way to highlight how you can not appear on TV, using my air quotes, and still make an impact as far as how your character goes. Ali's doing the same thing right now, but I think, just personally, I like Aleister Black more as a wrestler, so it's kind of hit me a little bit more. But I really enjoy the way that they did it. I think last week, Cesaro, the way that he came in, the way he delivered his line, it was everything that they needed. And I'm very, very excited for this match. In the best way possible, man. This is a match I have very little to say about, because it's a match that makes me excited to be a wrestling fan. These are two students of Mike Quackenbush who are obviously going to complement each other very, very well in the ring.
I wonder why you would name drop Quackenbush right now.
He's coming to Winnipeg. If Leo London's going to watch, I'm going to plug that match as often as possible.
I know that. I just wanted to put it out there.
But they're both students of the guy. It's going to be a terrific, both clash of styles, but with guys who know each other very well, trained with the same guy. And as a wrestling fan, I'm excited. That's all I've got to say about that.
I mean, I got a shirt on, but I mean, if you're excited, check these nipples, because I am 100% looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be a stiff match.
Is it titillating?
You know what? If nipples could speak, they would say a lot right now. They are that excited, folks.
On that note, let's move on to our next match.
This is why we've still got a producer on the show.
That's why Sounds of Struggle's taking a break.
From there, we're going to the last man standing match between Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley.
I think everyone's well aware of my opinion on Bobby Lashley. Over the last couple of weeks, they've done a great job of reestablishing him, but I don't care. I like Braun Strowman. Go Braun Strowman.
You know what? I actually think this is the way they should have been using Bobby Lashley from day one. I think they've misused him since day one, to be honest. He should have been a heel, because if anybody watches TNA stuff, he was fantastic.
Here is my biggest issue with Bobby Lashley, and here's the one time I'm just going to be allowed to rant frequently. Why did Bobby Lashley come back to WWE?
Money.
In storyline reason. Has there ever been a point where, most returning superstars will get their typical in-ring interview with, whether it's Mike Rome, Tom Phillips, Corey Graves, Carly Caruso, any one of them. They will get their typical, I'll keep using Bobby Lashley. Why not? So, Bobby, why did you return? Even if it was something as simple as money, even if it was something as simple as I came back to be the World Heavyweight Champion, whether it was something as simple as I wanted to wrestle against the best in the world because he's coming back as a babyface, absolutely no reason has been given in the last 2 years. Has it been 2 years he's been back now? For him to be back in the WWE. Not once has the guy explained it. Not once did Leo Rush go through and say in his loud voice that this is why Bobby's back. I'm very, very bad at anything that has to do with impersonating wrestlers, so I apologize for that. But my point stands. There's no reason that Bobby Lashley is ever given for being back in WWE. Therefore, for 2 years, I have not had a reason to care why Bobby Lashley's back in WWE.
I think one of the worst things that Bobby Lashley has working against him is his lack of personality that he shows in the ring, but that's also a big detriment to the company as well for not helping him with that. They've done a lot with other guys. I want to see that personality show from Bobby Lashley. I do believe this is the end of the feud. I do think Braun Strowman's going to take the win. Part of me kind of hopes Leo Rush comes back and joins Bobby Lashley because I did like that combo.
Bobby Lashley, to sum him up and then we'll move on, is like if you have toast and cereal as your breakfast in the morning and you drop your toast in the milk and it gets all soggy and gross and disinteresting, that is like the itemization of Bobby Lashley as far as I'm concerned. He is about as interesting as soggy toast.
I was going to go a lot more inappropriate, so I think it's on the mic right now.
All right, let's get out of here quick. And speaking of something that Spencer was going off on earlier today,
how do you know what he gets off on?
Hey, this is a PG show.
That's why I didn't go into detail.
We only get one curse a year. Let's make sure we use it wisely.
I didn't curse.
Anyway, speaking of people that get off track real quick, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, the New Day and Heavy Machinery taking on the Urch champions, Daniel Bryan and Rowan. As Spencer's about ready to kill my mic here.
You know, Parrish, I'll let you go. People have heard from me a lot here. How do you feel about the scene of the SmackDown Tag Team Championships right now?
I don't understand why there's 2 tag team titles in WWE main roster, to be honest.
Yep, that's an entire.
I go back to my
conversation
WrestleMania
whatsoever.
prediction, and you should unify the tag titles because I think the best tag match on the card is on the Raw side.
Yep.
The one thing I don't understand is you got the New Day just to validate the tag team titles, and then you got Heavy Machinery there to say that you're giving new guys a chance, and then you're putting Daniel Bryan in that match to actually get fans to care from a wrestling aspect because he is one of the best in-ring technicians that they've ever seen.
Oh, that's an absolute guarantee.
So,
but
I'm going to predict that Rowan and Bryan are going to keep their titles, but something in the back of my head won't be surprised if the New Day gets another title victory. They are Charlotte Flair to me, and their tag title reigns mean nothing.
What do you think of the chances that Heavy Machinery takes the championships?
I don't think they take the pin.
Okay.
That's my thing. I think they're going to be looked strong out of this match because I think they're the ones that stand to gain the most out of this match. Whereas I actually believe that the New Day could take the loss and it doesn't affect them because Kofi has the title.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I've got such a, not fear, because even as far as it goes with these sort of recent call-ups, whether it be Lacey Evans, EC3, sort of those vignette call-ups that came up about 6 months ago, really, other than Lacey Evans, Heavy Machinery has been the ones that have benefited most of anything. So I think that there is a real opportunity that WWE uses this to elevate a Heavy Machinery.
I would actually have said Ricochet, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't disagree there. But Heavy Machinery over the last little bit then would take a solid third, which I think, considering the talent that came up in that, that's a pretty good place to be in. But could this be the thing to elevate him? Because I would argue that the thing that elevated Ricochet was obtaining the United States Championship.
This actually could be the biggest surprise of the night if Heavy Machinery pulls out what people think would be the why or the I didn't see it coming moment of the night and win the SmackDown tag titles. I just think right now, if you want the whole tag team movement to work, you need somebody outspoken like Daniel Bryan to head it.
It's not the match that I would really want, but if Heavy Machinery was to win by pinning the New Day tonight, like you said, the New Day could sort of move on. They're not taken away, nothing's taken away from them, because they do have the affiliation with Kofi Kingston. What if the Heavy Machinery pins the New Day and we get Heavy Machinery versus Daniel Bryan and Rowan headlining SummerSlam on the tag team
Well,
side
no,
of
that's
things?
exactly what I believe. I just believe it is Daniel Bryan getting the win on maybe Xavier
Going in as
Woods.
champions.
And then because Heavy Machinery didn't take that fall, it lines
All right.
them up at SummerSlam.
Makes
and then
sense,
they
man.
get a moment at a bigger pay-per-view.
But we're both pretty well in agreement that we've
Yeah.
got Heavy Machinery versus Bryan and Rowan headlining SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Hooray.
I can see you're over thrilled about that. So
Well, I'm assuming we're going to commercial next. We're about halfway through.
You know what?
Or have we got one more?
let's plug one more.
Can I
match
just say
in.
one
All right.
thing? If Heavy Machinery puts out a good effort, I will not be against it. Because
That's right.
I am not against people putting out their best and delivering when it means something.
Well, I said it last night, but I am a firm believer that wrestling, my favorite type of wrestling, is wrestling that tries their best and has fun.
We don't expect them to steal a show, but wouldn't it be great if they did?
Yep. And they had a great match last pay-per-view. Mike, I'll let you go from there. Sorry.
That's all right. Speaking of a team that should steal the show and should be working real well here, let's go with the other tag team championship match with the Usos taking on the Revival. The Revival are finally on a pay-per-view, guys.
This is such a nice thing to have happen. What a day for tag team wrestling. I have not enjoyed how they've gotten to this point thus far.
Hey, Secretariat was outside at 1 a.m. I'm calling it a dark horse, just like I'm calling this match as my dark horse to be the best match of the night.
The only reason I wouldn't say it's a dark horse is I think everybody is fully aware of what the Usos and the Revival can do. If they get time tonight, it's going to be an absolutely terrific match. That is as close to a guarantee as I can give you for tonight. But I don't think that the story's been there, and I think that's why it may be flying under the radar, is because everybody's at the point where they're a little apathetic to it just based on how WWE's gotten there. I don't think an affiliation with Shane McMahon helps anyone at this point. I like how they've sort of played that down a little bit on the Revival's end over the last couple of weeks. And getting away, starting in that wasn't any sort of help for their tag team championship reign. I think it was a great end to a mean as far as getting the match, but I think even just sloughing off the affiliation afterwards has been a huge boon as far as their title reign goes. And the Usos are the Usos, man.
I think one of the great comparisons to this and then the Usos against the New Day is they started in a position where you kind of expected it to be good, but you didn't really think it was going to play out to be as good. And I really do believe this is going to be one of those situations that, you know, the earlier stories to them with all the jokes about the bathroom humor, you know, nobody really cared about that. But now you're actually getting a match that maybe has a lack of build-up, but they don't need a build-up. It's just the two best teams in WWE going after the tag team titles. And I actually do believe that if they're given this time, people are going to be talking about tag team wrestling, and they're going to put these two teams on the map after tonight.
Absolutely. I think we're going to throw to a quick commercial here on Over the Top Rope, live from Beercade YEG on 105th Street and 82nd Avenue in Edmonton, Alberta, for a couple of quick commercials from our previously mentioned sponsors. Also want to give a quick shout out to a new sponsor / affiliate of ours here on the WCSN, Indie Empire Magazine. We're going to be contributing, giving the latest and greatest from the Great White North as far as the independent scene goes. So make sure to subscribe to them on all social media platforms, as well as pick up the latest editions. I want to say episodes every time, but I'm moving on to print. It's different for me. Pick up the latest issues every time they put it out, and I mean every time they put it out.
We climb on the ropes like we're Taker because we're old school.
I like it. We're going to take a quick break on OTTR Live for a quick 5 minutes, and then we'll be right back.
Hey, do you have a moment? Perhaps you're sitting at your cubicle, daydreaming, staring out the window. Maybe you're at home, TV droning on in the background as you flip through social media. Maybe you're at the airport. Have somebody coming up to you going, "We'd like to talk to you for a moment about our Lord and Savior." You can tell them, "No, thank you. I have a moment with Maniac." It's right here on the Win Column Sports Network. Come listen to it as I talk about wrestling pay-per-views, as I talk to other wrestlers in the Alberta indie scene, and I talk about pretty much whatever comes to mind. I have no agenda. I have nothing. I just have a moment to entertain you. Tune in.
Hello, friends. This is Spencer Love, the host of Conversations with Love, the exclusive one-on-one interview series sweeping the nation, or at the very least, the great province of Alberta, Canada. Tune in weekly to Backbreaker Media, a proud member of the Win Column Sports Network, as I host a member of the independent wrestling community here in Alberta, or wherever the hell I feel like interviewing somebody from. You can only find it on Backbreaker Media, a proud member of the Win Column Sports Network, and proudly sponsored by Beercade YEG.
Well, this is Chris Parrish.
And Maniac.
And if you want to hear a podcast that's a little bit of all right.
And Strugglelicious.
Yeah, and if you want to get involved with everything that is pro wrestling, everything that is What, NHL, NFL, NBA?
Nah, not really, but a little bit of that and baseball.
Yeah, ball sports.
Ball sports!
Then come to Backbreaker Media, which is a division of Win Column Sports Network, and listen to the sounds of struggle.
Sounds of struggle!
And let me tell you this, if you're not into the sounds of struggle, then guess what? We don't care, because we only like the people that listen to us.
That's true. And listen to that, we're out of time.
So, on top of that, we say later, bitches.
Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 3,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 100 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following advertisement is sponsored by Beercade YEG.
Hello. You are listening to a commercial for the podcast Over the Top Rope,
the flagship podcast of the Win Column Sports Network,
as well as a proud member of Backbreaker Media.
Again, this podcast is sponsored by Beercade YEG.
You can find us pretty well anywhere that podcasts are played, including on the iTunes,
Podbean,
the Google Play,
SoundCloud,
and on wincolumnsports.ca for all your previews,
reviews,
and breaking news from the world of professional wrestling. Tune in every Friday on Backbreaker Media, a member of Win Column Sports.
And we are back with OTTR Live from Beercade YEG in Edmonton with your hosts, Spencer Love and Chris Parrish.
Admittedly, we're back a little later than expected, but that I will blame
The
on
ones
Later,
and only.
what we call technical times here in the production land.
Hey, we might have cues, but we are not on hard time.
Absolutely, my friend. Just
Yeah.
want to give another quick shout out to Beercade YEG, the location of Over the Top Rope Live, where Parrish is enjoying a $4 beer. We're enjoying some $4 eats, and later this evening, as we always do for each and every WWE pay-per-view, we're going to be enjoying Extreme Rules 2019, the biggest event of the year when you're considering events that happen this month.
I wouldn't even say that.
You know what?
We're getting
Canada
into a
Day
whole-
was this month, so I'm going to say no.
Oh, as far as wrestling goes. Come on, man. I'm just trying to make it sound
I don't even
big.
want to count that for this weekend, but that's a
Back
different
off.
discussion for another day.
I'm trying to sell here, buddy. Okay?
Fair enough.
I say, looking over directly at you, producer Mike.
Yes, yes.
You're like
yes.
the Peter Griffin, like, ah.
All right, let's get back into these matches.
Absolutely.
before I
As mentioned, it is Over the Top Rope Live at Beercade YEG, the home of Edmonton Wrestling. As well, just a quick shout out as well for White Ridge Incorporated, Cowan Graphics, Indie Empire Magazine. A couple of the great sponsors here at the Win Column Sports Network, your source for previews, reviews, breaking news, and now interviews from the greatest wrestling continent in the planet, North America. I say that proudly. There's great wrestling here.
Absolutely. All right, let's get on to our next match here. For the U.S. Championship, you got AJ Styles taking on the champion Ricochet.
I see absolutely no reason for Ricochet to win this match. And not that I don't like him, but number one, you got the numbers advantage. You're looking to reestablish the club, especially after two of them lost their matches on Raw last week.
Yeah.
I think it was Raw last week or SmackDown
Yeah.
last week, whatever it may be. I think you really need to reestablish them as not only a dominant force, but the dominant force in WWE. The Shield's not coming back. There's literally no possibility of that for at least the next 3 years, according to reports of Dean Ambrose's / John Moxley's contract status. So you need to have somebody to step into that dominant faction role. For me, I'd always envisioned the Undisputed Era being the people to unseat the Shield as the most dominant current faction in WWE. Now we've got the Club. I think that leaves us really, really open to leaving the Undisputed Era in NXT for a while, really completing their, I quote Matt Hardy here, their quest for gold, and allow the Club to really dominate. If we're going to end the brand split, both brands, but where they currently are, let them dominate Raw for the time being. I think that starts with a United States Championship not only win, but AJ Styles win.
When I talked about something big later on the show, I do believe that one of your moments to take away out of this is Gallows and Anderson, Balor and AJ. And when you have Balor and AJ as U.S. and Intercontinental Champions, that's a statement. Here's also a thing that could happen. I don't think it will because I think it's overkill. Gallows and Anderson interfering in one or both of the tag matches. Don't think that will happen, but I do believe we could have a Club segment or moment tonight. And I think maybe Gallows and Anderson helping Balor retains, Gallows and Anderson helping AJ become the new U.S. champion. And how much would everyone lose their feces? Because it's a PG show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. When you see Gallows, Anderson, Balor, AJ in the back with title
now,
on shoulder.
Here's what I'm potentially thinking. You talk about them being utilized in a Balor retention. This is WWE. Why play directly off of the Bullet Club? Why don't they assist Shinsuke Nakamura?
Because
why do you require the turn of Finn Balor, who, let's get real here, is already inarguably one of their most popular baby faces, underutilized 100%.
Because
one of their most popular.
You've already
100%.
associated the history when you did AJ versus the Demon Balor.
So why would you play directly off of another company's history?
Because here's one thing. Nakamura has turned on AJ. Nakamura is feuding with Balor. Why would they choose with a guy that already has history in WWE?
So let's really go back here. Was it 2 years ago at SummerSlam when they did the Club versus Cena, Enzo, and Cass? And they had the opportunity when the Club was still together. They brought Balor to the back. Balor sort of sloughed him off as far as the Too Sweet goes. WWE can utilize something like that because they do specific stuff like that, not to capitalize on it in a couple of weeks. They do it to capitalize on it eventually. And I fully think that could be a reason. And they've seen the new vicious side of Shinsuke Nakamura, which is what they really highlighted last week. And if that's what AJ Styles and the rest of the Club are looking for, is a new aggressive side of wrestling, I don't know why. Why wouldn't you just make what is the natural fit at the moment and have AJ Styles really just think it's a business sense, man? So why not just go after Shinsuke Nakamura, who has established his new aggressive side of things?
Here's where I'm going to put a bullet in your idea. See what I did?
No.
It's because Vince McMahon doesn't like to go back from ideas from other companies, but Paul Heyman might. And tonight, which is what I believe could be the first night that Eric Bischoff is actually working with WWE again, this is where we could see something absolutely change. And when we see the guys that really were the last end of the Bullet Club in its popularity, from the Young Bucks and Cody and all those guys, you could then flip the script and take those fans and bring them back to your product with the old school club.
On that end, I just don't trust WWE at all when it comes to utilizing other companies' ideas and executing them properly. You've only got a couple of instances where that's worked.
This
well.
is why you tune in and come to Beercade to check out Extreme Rules.
Don't bend our producers' whims. One of them's not even a producer telling us to wrap it up on this segment.
Hey.
We're having a conversation here. As we do every Wednesday on the Win Column Sports
Hey,
Network.
I talked about my nipples
flagship
earlier. You
one-on-one
think I
interview
care about
show,
wrapping it up?
Conversations
But we
with
should
Love,
go
brought
to
to
the
you
next
by
matchup.
Beercade YEG.
This is an 11-match card, guys. We got to get through this.
That's fine. There's a lot of matches. It'll be really quick to talk about.
Well, speaking of one that you're probably going to talk about pretty quick here, the SmackDown Women's title match, the handicap match with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross taking on the champion Bayley.
Nikki Cross, I can make this one quick. Nikki Cross has probably been the MVP of the women's division since they've really started to utilize her. As far as her affiliation with Alexa Bliss, her character work is some of the best in wrestling as far as I've watched. She pulls off the little nuances so well, and I think in a storyline like this where we have seen Alexa Bliss before turn on friends and utilize that to her advantage, you have to find a way to do that in a unique way. I think Nikki Cross has totally done that, but I think at the end of the day, this story is all about the redemption of Bayley from that atrocious "this is your life" not only segment, but that kendo stick on a pole match, everything along those lines. So I think that they're going to utilize this to really sell that Bayley is a champion. She's been on fire since winning the Money in the Bank ladder match and winning the SmackDown Women's Championship. So why not keep that train rolling? You're building to an eventual, whether it happens immediately after this, whether it happens a couple of months from now, you're building to an eventual Nikki Cross-Alexa Bliss feud. So I think that this will be totally in service of that. Bayley's going to go over, and I think that it's the right decision.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't, dumb.
That's exactly what I was going to go into. I think we're going to see the involvement, or possibly the tease of the involvement of a possible returning Sasha Banks. It may or may not be there. We've been getting the hints. We've been getting everything about Nikki Cross saying Bayley needs a friend that's in her corner. But here's the thing. Nikki Cross could be that exception to the rule that Alexa Bliss turns on every friend she has and turns on Alexa Bliss first tonight. And that's how you jumpstart that feud. And then Bayley could possibly then go on to SmackDown still as her champion, and then you can bring Sasha Banks back and possibly do something there or go in a different route.
I would love to see if Alexa Bliss is going to win the championship tonight. The only way I would like to see it is if Sasha Banks comes in and interferes, setting up a SummerSlam match. That's just a match I would love to see on the WWE roster right now. Other than that, you need to play, because I'm firmly on the side, if there are a lot of instances, and I'm going to play this one as politically as I can, there are a lot of instances in which wrestlers, such like a Stone Cold or people like that, have held out for their booking or held out, and people haven't held it against them.
They took their ball and went home.
Essentially, and I think that if Sasha Banks is doing this, but there has been rapport between her and WWE, I still think that they need to bring her back in a perfect circumstance, and I think there's going to be no better way to completely reestablish a Sasha Banks and completely reestablish her as a major force in the women's division.
A big-time match at SummerSlam will gladly be that situation.
Exactly. Bring her right into a program with Bayley. People have been clamoring for it for years. You can play off the, hey, you only got a hold of me when you needed a friend, not when I wanted it, whatever you may do there. But I think that's the only way that I would want to see Alexa Bliss win. I just don't think it's going to happen tonight.
See, I would love to see Nikki Cross walk out with the title. I think that is the big, wow, didn't see that one coming. I think that's the swerve out of this whole thing. I don't think it does anything for Bayley, and I think it means more to have Bayley continue on as champion. And I think it's more meaningful long-term to have Bayley as champion. So I'm going to go with Bayley retaining this title. I'm going to give you a wild card in the case Sasha Banks isn't there. And the person that could come to the aid of Bayley could be an Ember Moon.
Okay.
And I do think they're looking for a way to utilize her. And if Sasha Banks can't be there, Ember Moon is definitely, I think, the right girl to have in that situation.
All right, let's move on.
All right, now let's go to the SmackDown WWE Championship match. Well, I guess you can call it SmackDown WWE because it's just plain old WWE.
It's a WWE World Title match.
We'll go with that. Samoa Joe taking on Kofi Kingston. Is this where the title finally changes hands?
Yeah, and I actually kind of think this is where Brock Lesnar could come into play.
Brock Lesnar, I am going to make the prediction right here, right now. Brock Lesnar will cash in his Money in the Bank contract at the first episode of SmackDown on Fox. I will buy someone a drink anytime they find me. If this turns out to be wrong, I will buy you a cold, frosty, alcoholic beverage.
Okay, let's have a beer bet right now.
Beer bet right now.
If he's going to cash in on the first episode of SmackDown, you say he's going to win, I say he's going to lose.
Okay. I think he's cashing in on the first episode of SmackDown anyways.
If he does that.
Yeah, great way to bring him in.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
Check on the beer bet?
Done deal.
All right.
An official beer bet here on Over the Top Rope Live from Beercade YEG on 105th Street and 82nd Avenue in Edmonton, Alberta. The official first beer bet live and on camera has been made.
Yep.
It is official.
Ask Mike. I'm good at these.
Heading back to it, just to make it quick because I know I've taken up a lot of time explaining things. I love Kofi Kingston. Samoa Joe is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I think that they've built him properly. At some point, he has done more than enough to earn a WWE Championship run. If Kofi Kingston, I think whether or not he actually is injured, if you need to get him time off, this is the perfect time to do it. And even if he's not, I love the chase, and I love a heel on top. Let's get Samoa Joe his WWE Championship run. I'm calling it. There's my surprise.
If you want to make Samoa Joe a babyface moving forward in the WWE title picture,
which you don't.
Depends on who the heel is. I think you have Samoa Joe win this title, an a la SummerSlam between Daniel Bryan and John Cena, with Triple H as your referee, and you had Daniel Bryan win the title, and then Randy Orton came and cashed in. I think this could be a good way of Samoa Joe winning the title, Brock Lesnar cashing in on Joe, because that would be one hell of a main event for SummerSlam. Joe against Brock Lesnar, where Samoa Joe is the guy you want to win that title.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, though.
Yeah.
They've already
I don't
run
think
it.
it
They've
will.
already run the show. They've already run the match on
please.
what is, to this day, the greatest named WWE pay-per-view of all time, Great Balls of Fire. And I think that match, they already showed what they can do in a Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe build. Quite possibly Samoa Joe's defining moment in WWE as far as I'm concerned. He did an excellent job in that feud, but I don't see any way I'd want it approached with him as a babyface role. I don't think that's... Because even when he went into it at Great Balls of Fire, he was still a heel. Just because you wanted him to win, he didn't change anything up.
Well, what happens if you do the same thing this time? Would you disagree if you got that?
No, but I do think that people would look back and say, well, why are you doing the same thing? It's basically the same thing twice.
Because it was good.
100%, but why not let good things be good
things? You did TLC, you did TLC 2. Just saying. You did Rock and Hogan 2 when you shouldn't have.
Okay, that's a fair point.
You did Cena and Rock 2 when you shouldn't have. This you should do.
Okay, Paris. I think you made your point.
Hey,
here.
it's our show.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to.
You brought the hand back when you shouldn't have.
Let's go to the match that we possibly believe might open the show, according to some websites and rumors and whatnot. You got Roman Reigns and The Undertaker taking on Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre.
Ha! This is a match. Dream match isn't the right word, but you thought you were only going to get this match if you were dreaming. I thought that the highly anticipated and critically acclaimed conclusion to the Undertaker versus Shane McMahon feud would have been the end of everything. Unfortunately, to this point, the feud has continued over the course of 3 years. Now, inexplicably, the Undertaker has sided with Roman Reigns with absolutely no explanation whatsoever. Unless we're aiming for like an Undertaker Reigns at SummerSlam or an Undertaker McIntyre at SummerSlam, all of this is as dumb as it gets in professional wrestling, and not in a good way. This upsets me. All of it. All of it. All of it. The only redeeming quality that I will give it is that it's the Undertaker working a younger guy. I don't want to see a guy coming back and wrestling an Undertaker-Goldberg match again. There's been rumors that they're going to book Undertaker Sting if they can for one of the Saudi Arabian shows. I don't want to see that at this point. I think that if you're going to have a guy like the Undertaker coming back, that guy's coming back to wrestle a guy like a Drew McIntyre and lose. I don't like talking about booking a ton because it really does sort of pull the wool away, but like, man, bringing him back for what's called a dream match against Goldberg, where he went longer with Goldberg than a Brock Lesnar, an athlete in the prime of his career, went double time. It's asinine to me that matches like this are happening.
Well,
and the only redeeming quality about it, like, yeah, you're going to get to see the Undertaker in the ring with Drew McIntyre, but number one, it's the second time ever you're going to get the Undertaker and Roman Reigns tagging together. Number two, we're going to get another just train wreck, and not in the best possible way, as far as getting the Undertaker and Shane McMahon in the ring together again. It's another continuation of the McMahon-Roman Reigns feud. All of it is dumb, other than, like, everybody does. Let's just get real here. I'd pop Undertaker every time the Undertaker makes an entrance. Other than that, I will either use this opportunity to play some of the fantastic video games here at Beercade or order myself a couple of $4 beverages.
Tell us how you really feel.
I'm upset that this match exists in any sort of iteration other than you playing me in this tag team match in 2K20 when it comes out.
Well, speaking of $4 drinks, here mine are, and here's my opinion on this match. If this doesn't lead to Drew McIntyre and The Undertaker in a casket match at SummerSlam, I think they absolutely did nothing with this match. My thing is I don't understand why anyone other than Drew McIntyre should win this match.
Yeah, and the thing that scares me is we're going to get a Shane McMahon pinning The Undertaker.
Well, you know what? In today's day and age, I believe it.
You know, Shane McMahon probably keeps himself in fairly good shape. The guy looks like he runs.
Yeah. The ratings off the wall. But that's a completely different thing. But that's it. If Drew McIntyre does not leave this match as the big star, at least as the other big star with Roman Reigns, I don't see what the point is. Roman Reigns also just won the ESPY Award for Best Moment by WWE.
Ooh-wah, indeed.
So I don't see him taking the pinfall. McIntyre pinning Taker, that could be a big thing. Yeah, that's a big thing going into SummerSlam.
Absolutely. I think we're in agreement.
He might have taken the win, but Taker is coming back at SummerSlam to take his soul.
Rest in peace.
I tried saving it. Let's go to the next match.
All right, time for our what many people consider to be the main event of the show. Winner take all.
Consider is a strong word. The only thing I hate more than a relationship-built feud in WWE is a breakup-built feud in WWE. And I am very, very afraid that if that is the route they choose to go and have Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch take a loss here to Baron Corbin or Lacey Evans, number one, the fan revolt is going to be through the roof. And that's not even me making a commentary on either Lacey Evans or Baron Corbin. I don't hate either of them nearly as much as others do, but I think that there would be a ton of backlash as far as that goes. And I think that Becky and Seth Rollins would sort of play this into not a breakup, but they would start a little bit of tension between the two of them. And I hate anything like that. It frustrates me when it's done at the best of times, and it's not good at the worst of times. So I'm calling Becky. I'm calling Seth. I'm taking Lacey Evans taking the pin here. That's it. That's all from me, my man.
Well, one, don't talk about Backlash because we're talking about Extreme Rules.
Every time.
I know. I had to get you. And come on, you don't like relationship angles? Tell me you didn't get emotionally invested in Elizabeth and Macho Man.
I wasn't alive, dude.
Well, you know what? There is a network. Go check it out.
Yeah,
but I'm going to say Seth Rollins beats Baron Corbin because I have a feeling Lacey Evans is going to stay a little bit relevant in the big picture moving forward. So I think Baron Corbin is the one here who could take the hit without really it affecting him. So I think he's the easy target out of here. I don't think it's smart to take the title off Becky Lynch at all. I think it's actually more mentally challenged to take the title off Becky Lynch than it is to take the title off Seth Rollins. I think it's smarter to take the title off Seth Rollins right now. I just don't think it's smart to take the title off Becky Lynch. So by default, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins wins off a curb stomp onto Baron Corbin, 1, 2, 3.
All right, I completely agree, and I think that's it. That's all as far as this edition of Over the Top Rope Live goes. We've had a lot of laughs, we've shared a few tears, and we've previewed this year's edition of Extreme Rules live from Beercade YEG, the home of Edmonton professional wrestling. Don't forget, $4 beers, $4 menu items on select items. A lot of great times here with members of the indie wrestling community here in Edmonton, Alberta Parish. It's been fun.
This is the time now where we say we are for wrapping it up.
Absolutely. Mr. Mike, what's up?
But don't forget, our next time we're going to be here on OTTR Live is going to be Sunday, August 11th.
You betcha. That would be August the 11th, SummerSlam.
I wish I knew somebody important in my life that had a birthday on that day. I just don't.
Yeah, you and I both. That's disappointing.
Yeah.
But either way, very, very excited for SummerSlam. We will be hosting the SummerSlam exclusive preview. I'm actually heading out to Toronto for NXT TakeOver the Summit, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, and of course, the Summer Classic, the Summerfest, according to Jeremy Piven, who I still think at some point deserves to come back and realize his mistake and make up for it. But it's neither here nor there. Heading out to SummerSlam, so I will be joining you live from Toronto with a couple of exclusive interviews featuring members here of the Edmonton independent wrestling community. I've also got to shout out a quick reminder to support your local independent wrestling, whether it be your Real Canadian Wrestling, your Prairie Wrestling Alliance, your Monster Pro Wrestling, Canadian Wrestling's Elite, which I know is coming here all throughout August. You can check out their website for details, or Pure Power Wrestling, which this man is the champion of, down in Lethbridge, Alberta. Support your indie wrestling wherever you get the opportunity. Parrish, I'll let you take yourself out before I close out this week's edition of Over the Top Rope Live.
Well, if you're going to stay at home and watch Extreme Rules on your couch, I say, you know what? You might have a little bit of fun. You know what? You'll have a lot more fun if you come to Beercade, hang around with some of the best people who enjoy wrestling, be in an atmosphere that's absolutely strugglicious, might I say. And you know what? $4 beers. You know what? Even if you don't like beers, there are items on the menu that are $4 to eat. And if you don't like to eat, you're weird. So I'm just going to say, come out, be with friends, be with people that enjoy wrestling. And don't forget, if you come out, drive safe, because you don't want to get a headlight ticket like I did last night. $78 though, not that bad. But come to Beercade, check us out, hang out with us, and let's have a good time, because we all know that when it comes to pro wrestling, everything matters, and nothing is more fun than pro wrestling. So please support pro wrestling, even if it's Vince McMahon.
Once again, this has been an edition of Over the Top Rope Live from Beercade YEG, the home of Edmonton Independent Professional Wrestling, and your source for WWE pay-per-views live. Every opportunity that you've got, obviously, outside of Beercade, we want to give a shout-out to our other sponsors here of the WCSN network of podcasts, audio, written, video, you name it, we've got it. Thanks to Cowan Graphics, thanks to White Ridge Incorporated, thanks to Indie Empire Magazine. As mentioned, thanks to Beercade YEG for supporting the WCSN, your source for previews, reviews, and breaking news. And, of course, now interviews from the independent community here in Edmonton. For Chris Parrish, I've been Spencer Love. Thank you for joining us on OTTR Live. We will check you out for SummerSlam.
And get your hats to cap it off.